Paradise Revealed. Volume 3. From Surrender to Intimate Love. Through Nectar of Devotion. Shivani Diwan. Introduction. Beyond Paradise. In Volume 2, we successfully navigated the spiritual combat detailed in Milton's Paradise Regained. We followed the path of the one greater man to achieve liberation through firm obedience fully tried through all temptation. The focus of that victory was securing the internal state of spiritual perfection, what Milton famously called the paradise within the happier far. This internal victory ensured the cessation of material identification and provided freedom from fear, anxiety, and the endless cycle of suffering that binds the soul to temporary existence. But the path of redemption, the journey of the eternal soul, does not end merely with inner peace. If the achievement of transcendental consciousness is indeed the king of education, the highest form of knowledge, what lies beyond paradise? Is inner perfection truly the final destination, or does something infinitely greater await the sincere seeker? Could it be that everything we've achieved so far has been merely the gateway, the preparation for an even more profound reality? I remember sitting with my father on the porch of his simple cottage, watching the sun set over the mountains. He had been a dedicated student of Bhaktivedanta Swami for over 40 years, and his presence carried a peace that seemed to emanate from somewhere beyond this world. I had just finished writing Volume 2 and something was stirring in my heart, a question I couldn't quite articulate. "Dad," I began hesitantly, "I've been teaching yoga for years, helping people find that inner peace, that paradise within. But lately I keep wondering, is that really it? Is inner tranquility the end of the road?" He smiled, not the condescending smile of someone who knows more, but the warm smile of someone who remembered asking the same question. "You know," he said, "Srila Prabhupada used to say something that confused me for years. He said that impersonal liberation, just merging into some abstract spiritual light, is actually a side benefit of devotion. A side benefit. Like it's nothing special." He chuckled softly. "I spent my first years of practice thinking that inner peace was everything. And it is magnificent, don't misunderstand me. But it's like, how do I explain this?" He paused, searching for the right words. "It's like spending your whole life trying to get into a beautiful house. You finally pick the lock, you open the door, you step into the foyer, and it's peaceful, clean, perfect. But then you realize someone actually lives here. And suddenly the house isn't the point anymore. Person who lives here is." That conversation changed everything for me. Became the seed of this third volume. This volume reveals the ultimate truth that Volume 2 was merely preparation for our eternal spiritual destination, the highest spiritual reality. Here we explore the profound difference between impersonal liberation and the loving fulfillment found in divine connection, the difference between being free from something and being connected to someone. True realization of the Supreme involves more than simply transcending the material world or achieving abstract spiritual consciousness. The ultimate goal is not an abstract principle but a personal relationship with the divine as the source and object of love. Indeed, the perfect submission shown by the Son in Volume 2 was not dry duty performed reluctantly. It was a loving response to the person who cares for him individually, who knows him by name, who has a unique relationship with him that could never be duplicated. Think about it. When you love someone deeply, do you simply want to understand them philosophically? Do you merely want to be free from attachment to them? Or do you want to actually be with them, to serve them, to bring them joy, to exchange feelings in an intimate, personal way? The soul's relationship with the Supreme is no different, except that it is infinitely more fulfilling, eternally fresh, and never diminishing. Volume 3 invites you into the final phase of realization, to renew your personal relationship with the Supreme Person and discover the pinnacle of devoted service. This realization is the core of the science of divine love, wherein the soul finds its eternal dynamic purpose, not as passive observation, not as quiet meditation, but as active, joyful participation in transcendental reality. As my father often quoted from his teacher's writings, the flavor of transcendental loving service to the Lord, called Bhaktirasa in Sanskrit, literally meaning the taste of devotion, does not finish with the end of life. continues perpetually and is therefore called Amrita, that which does not die but exists eternally. Let me pause here to explain these terms because they're essential to understanding what lies ahead. Rasa means taste, flavor, or relational mood, but not in an ordinary sense. It refers to the specific quality of love that defines your eternal relationship with the Supreme. Just as water can be experienced as liquid, ice, or steam while remaining H2O, divine love expresses itself in different flavors or moods, each perfect and complete in itself. Amrita literally means deathless or immortal. Unlike material happiness that always ends, a delicious meal digested, a beautiful sunset faded, even a lifetime of accomplishments forgotten, the happiness found in divine love never diminishes. It intensifies eternally. But why do we need Sanskrit words at all? I once asked my father, somewhat frustrated, "Why can't we just say eternal love and be done with it?" He laughed. "You could try. But these words carry the weight of thousands of years of realized souls who actually experienced what they describe. It's like, you could call Beethoven's Ninth Symphony some nice music, but that doesn't really capture it, does it? The specific language of devotion carries precision. We're not talking about sentiment or emotion. We're talking about a profound science, a reliable, repeatable process for awakening something that already exists within you. The knowledge revealed in this volume is everlasting and joyfully performed. Doesn't simply inform, it transforms. Doesn't merely teach, it awakens. It doesn't add something new to you, it reveals what you've always been but have forgotten. My father used to describe it this way. Imagine you had amnesia for 20 years. You forgot your name, your family, your home. You wandered around thinking you were someone else entirely. Then one day, someone shows you a photograph, tells you your real name, and suddenly, everything comes rushing back. The love, the belonging, the sense of this is who I really am. You didn't create those relationships. They were always there. You just remembered them. That's what this volume offers, not belief in something foreign, but recognition of something deeply familiar. Are you ready to discover the ultimate fulfillment that transcends even internal mastery? Are you prepared to learn that the paradise within you've worked so hard to achieve is actually the doorway to something infinitely more wonderful? The journey through paradise within was the preparation, essential, beautiful, and necessary. Now comes the destination. But fair warning, this path requires more than philosophical understanding. Demands something that many spiritual seekers find harder than any austerity, more challenging than any kind of meditation. It requires opening your heart. The Supreme Person is not conquered by austere penances or Vedic study, my father once told me, quoting his teacher. He is conquered by love. But love makes you vulnerable. Love means you can be hurt. Love means surrender, not to a philosophy but to the Supreme Person. I sat with that for a long time. In my yoga classes, I could teach people to be strong, centered, and independent. But to teach them to love, to be vulnerable, to surrender? That was infinitely more difficult and infinitely more necessary. Go beyond paradise and embrace the highest spiritual reality, the science of divine love. In the pages that follow, you'll discover why philosophical liberation is only the halfway point and what lies beyond it. The practical methodology for transitioning from inner realization to dynamic personal relationship. The Supreme Person whose qualities attract even those who are completely liberated. The 5 eternal flavors of divine love and which one is your eternal nature. How the Supreme Person becomes conquered by his devotees. The paradox that the highest spiritual attainment is not found through power but through loving surrender. This is not mythology. This is not sectarian religion. This is not blind faith. This is science, the science of the soul's eternal nature, presented through the authentic teachings of realized spiritual masters and filtered through the honest questions of a sincere seeker. My father's teacher, Bhaktivedanta Swami, spent his entire life translating and explaining these truths for Western audiences. He left his home at the age of 69, crossed the ocean with practically nothing, and dedicated his final years to ensuring that this knowledge wouldn't remain locked in Sanskrit texts or hidden in ashrams. He wanted ordinary people, you and me, to have access to this ultimate truth. The soul is eternally the servant of the Supreme, he taught. This is not a philosophical position or a religious belief, it is the constitutional nature of the soul, as much a fact as water being wet or fire being hot. The only question is whether we are consciously acting in that nature or unconsciously trying to be something we're not. Your transformation awaits, but not the transformation of becoming something you're not. Rather, the transformation of finally, joyfully, eternally becoming who you've always been. The door is open. Will you step through?